I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Cocktails up here feel just right. Is Cambria amazing? All right. Bring a date, your teen, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com. See you on the roof.
Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Breaking news.
Well, it is a socialist sweep in New York. Welcome back to the Rita Cosby Show. A very troubling socialist sweep and a very troubling socialist influence taking place now in the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party tonight has moved further left than ever before. Socialist red sweep is probably the best way to describe it. In fact, one of the candidates called her district the Commie Corridor, and she won. So 3 candidates that were backed by Zohran Mamdani, all of them want to abolish ICE, call Trump a fascist, say there should be no support of Israel, and they have now won their respective primaries. Brad Lander, former DSA member, also Daria-Liza Chevalier, who is a current DSA member, and Claire Valdez, a current DSA member, and New York State Assemblywoman. All 3, all Mamdani backed, have won their respective primaries. And that is a very troubling sign for what's happening in the Democratic Party and in America. If you thought Zohran Mamdani was a one-off, now he's got more members of his army. And here is Daria-Liza Avila Chevalier. Again, they all won primaries in very, very heavy Democratic districts. So they're probably 3 members of Congress that they will all become. But here is Daria-Liza Chevalier. Take a listen. This is what she said after October 7th, after what happened to Israel. And listen to what she said. She started supporting Hamas in Gaza. This is who's going to Congress likely. Listen to her.
Who is the terrorist? Who is the terrorist? The United States of America. We feel the Palestinian blood. We feel the Palestinian blood. And we stand in solidarity with Palestine. We have the historic responsibility. We have the historic responsibility of defeating Israel colonialism. Israel colonialism. And U.S. imperialism. And U.S.
I went to Wikipedia this morning to look at the map of where the resistance is.
And that's from a rally on October 7th. That's Daria-Liza Avila Chevalier, who just won New York's 13th District Democratic primary. You can tell she hates, obviously, Israel. She wants to abolish ICE, abolish prisons. She also wants non-citizens to vote. And she believes that all deportations, even of criminals like murderers, that's wrong, that they should all just kind of hang out in the community and hang out at everybody's houses. It sounds like a really nice place to live. And New York City just got a lot worse with these 3 candidates. Meantime, President Trump also talking today, and he's been talking a lot about Iran because he said this deal with Iran so far is moving in the right direction. And he said he is a far cry from any deal that Obama did, which was a disaster. And this one instead comes from a position of strength. Here's President Trump.
We have Iran in a position that nobody's ever had. This should have been done for 47 years by other presidents. And we have Iran in a position where their military has been totally wiped out. Their leadership has been wiped out. Their radar has been wiped out. Everything's been wiped out. They have not a good negotiating position. But despite that, and money that will be taken out of Iran is going to go to our farmers to give corn, soybeans, wheat to Iran because they have a hunger problem, they have a food problem, they have a medicine problem, they got a lot of problems. And they have an inflation. Their inflation now just at 300%. So they have a lot of problems.
And speaking of problems, now this is a problem with who has been pushed in these primaries. President Trump calling these socialist candidates communists. And as I mentioned, one of them, Claire Valdez, even says that she represents the commie corridor. So she's not backing away from that. And here is President Trump. He was in Pennsylvania earlier today. He was talking about Governor Josh Shapiro there, but he also used the moment to talk about these candidates in New York who all won tonight.
Elections, and now if you look at New York, we have all communists running. They're all excited. They're going to win their primaries, but I can't imagine they can beat a normal Republican. So I think it's a good thing, Muser. What do you think? I think it's a good thing. Wouldn't you like to run against somebody like that? Well, Shapiro's not that much better, to be honest with you, but I won't. They're all being forced. They're all being forced. A guy like Shapiro, he's going to be forced to the left. Otherwise, he's not going to get the nomination. But they voted.
And President Trump's hitting it on the head, because what's happening is it's forcing these other candidates to go further to the left. You see it with Governor Hochul. You saw it even with Adriano Espaillat, even though he got primaried by another candidate that was backed by Mondani. But it will force others to go to the left to appease to these far left voters. And that is a big concern. And here's President Trump talking about how strange the party has become. And he also brings up Graham Plattner. Listen to this.
I was a very successful real estate person, but I love watching politics. And my whole life I've watched politicians say, we will cut your taxes. We will cut. I never heard these people say, we will raise your taxes. This country has gotten very strange politically, especially with all the communists that are up for election. You know, you have communists. These aren't socialists. These are communists. And they're all up. How about the guy in Maine? He's got the Nazi stickers. He's got the whole deal, and they're trying to say so for 8 years, 10 years, they said Trump is a Nazi. Now they can't say that anymore because they have a guy with a tattoo on his chest. It's unbelievable.
And that is President Trump. He brings up a good point. He's talking about Graham Plattner. Trump's getting called a fascist by a lot of these members. Also, by the way, who won tonight. These are the candidates in the Democratic primary. And yet, look, there's a candidate like Graham Plattner with a Nazi tattoo that's been on his chest for 17 years. You can't make it up. These candidates are extreme. They are crazy. And in my mind, they are so dangerous. And it really is starting a very troubling trend for America that is going to get a lot worse, I think, before it gets better. There are more moderate Democrats out there. And tonight they're going, are you kidding me? What's happening to our party? And that's the big, big concern. If you watch everything that's happening tonight, this trend with these different candidates, including especially, you got Brad Lander, who was arrested outside ICE court because he was saying that nobody essentially should be deported. Then you got people like Claire Valdez, who has said that everybody should stay here. There should be no deportation. Same thing. She wanted to, at one point, even end U.S. military aid at the Pentagon. Can you imagine? Not just abolish ICE, not just abolish police. Let's abolish the military, too. Let's see what kind of a country we would have if we had an extreme candidate like that. And then you also have in New York 13, Daria Lisa Chevalier, who's saying non-citizens should vote. The party and America is losing its mind. This is a sad, sad state of affairs. And boy, is it a troubling one. Let's go to your calls real quick. Let's go to Robert in Philly, line 5. Go ahead, Robert.
Hey, Rita, as always, it's great to talk to you. And I just wanted to say that I understand people who are sane and normal in New York City would be upset by this. But I think that if you look at what their benefit will be for this, for the Democrats, and what the detriment will be for the Democrats, I think it's in a weird way a good thing, and I'll explain to you why.
Oh, yeah, I got to hear this one. Why?
Because the people that are being replaced, Goldman, Nadler, they will vote the same way that Nadler and Goldman have been voting for the last few years. The Democrats aren't picking up any more members for their caucus. They're just getting the people who are going to vote the same way anyway, because the Democrats have been voting lockstep for the past 10 years now. So they're not going to get any benefit from it. But nationally, what's happening to the Democratic Party is going to keep resulting in a decrease in the number of votes that the Democrats are going to get. Kamala got 4 million less than Joe, and whatever candidate they put up this time, I bet they won't get more than 73 million. And see, in one way, my President Trump is very lucky in that after Hillary, he doesn't have. There's nobody good for the Democrats to put up to run. I mean, look at their field, look at their bench. And if they think that they're happy now because, yay, the Democratic Socialists, the faster they become fully Democratic Socialists, the faster will be the demise of their party as a whole, in my opinion.
No, you know what, Robert? You bring up an interesting point. You're right, because it sort of even, I guess, crystallizes even more the common sense versus crazy. You know, because people are going, oh, this is not normal. This is not. And you're right. Maybe the base is staying, with them because that's maybe where the base is going. But you're right. I don't see them expanding. And these candidates are so radical. But what still concerns me is their policies are so radical. I mean, you look even at Zoran Mondani in New York, what he's been pushing, obviously this, second home tax, the I won't march in Israel's parade, a lot of these things, the not condemning a lot of these activities that are just clearly anti-Semitic. And there's a very kind of nasty, concerning strain. And a lot of it is this anti-Semitism. It's anti-ICE. It's anti-police. I mean, can you imagine living in a world, Robert, with some of these views? And even if you're right, that it doesn't overall increase, it can make some of the locations pretty miserable. And you got in Philadelphia, you got in Pennsylvania, that guy there, Rob, the guy he's a Democratic Socialist, far progressive guy too. You've got a number of these candidates that they can still have a lot of influence even within the city and their districts. And that's, I don't want them to have, that kind of influence in any district.
Well, really, all it is just it's not even increasing. It's just continuing Democratic control in these areas.
No, I hear what you're saying. What I'm saying is that their impact will be more severe or extreme than if it were to be a moderate Democrat. That you're right. Overall, it doesn't change the numbers, but they certainly. I mean, you look at Mondani. I mean, he's certainly had an impact in New York. And already he endorsed these three candidates, and he's saying, oh, this is going to be part of a national trend. So, okay, we start in New York, and then we're going to keep on going, and you're going to suddenly see like the Bernie Sanders and the Elizabeth Warren and Zoran Mondani, and they're far anti-Israel, anti-police candidates. I think we're going to see a lot more of them in the future. And you're right, I don't think it increases the numbers, but it increases, I think, the vile behavior. I think that I've never seen anti-Semitism at such a high rate. And I absolutely believe that a lot of the rhetoric from various political representatives is adding to it, and we're only going to see more. And this anti-police rhetoric, how about putting, ICE agents? I mean, you see these ICE agents that are constantly under siege and under attack, and I can't help but think that some of the rhetoric coming from a variety of politicians bashing ICE is inspiring other individuals. And that saddens me. So they can still have a philosophy and a more extreme impact that is not good for public safety, Robert. You'll agree with that, right?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, there will be bad that will come from it. But I'm telling you, Rita, I firmly believe that the Democrats moving to socialism will drive away voters as surely as their policies drive away businesses and taxpayers in blue cities. And when the rubber meets the road, Rita, socialism is going to go down, and it's going to take the Democratic Party with them. I firmly believe that in the long run. Crazy is still going to lose.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
agree.
mean?
I agree. I just feel like they may have to go further before they hit rock bottom. And that's what concerns me, too. Just because, for America, I want the best for America. But I agree with you. I think ultimately it is the demise. There's no doubt. Robert, thank you. Always great to hear from you in Philadelphia. And everybody will continue your calls after the break here on The Rita Cosby Show on a very busy primary election night as news has been breaking fast and furious.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
33 days, 33 episodes, no off switch. From the goals and the glory to the politics and the problems of the World Cup. If you want soccer analysis from a podcast that's been overanalyzing the game for more than 20 years, then this is it. Join me, Max Rushton, and our expert team of soccer journalists every day of the tournament. Can England end 60 years of hurt, or will this be another year of falling just short? Probably. World Cup Daily, listen wherever you get your podcasts, or watch full episodes on YouTube.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
I love it! A Lego set is a gift that always clicks. And clicks. So beautiful. And clicks. For kids who love to create, choose a Lego set. A gift that always clicks.
This is the Rita Cosby Show. Breaking news.
Well, and Senator John Fetterman, it seems like the only one with common sense now on the Democratic side, and also a big supporter of Israel, is not happy with what's happening tonight with all these Democratic socialists putting out a statement saying the dirtbag left is having their moment. Again, from a Democrat, John Fetterman, who is a big supporter of Israel and shocked and dismayed by what we are seeing now in the Democratic Party. Again, all three Mondani-backed candidates winning their respective New York primaries tonight in a clean sweep. He had picked three of them, and all three won. And in fact, in some cases, beating out longtime incumbents that have been there and very heavy favorites. And he really was the piece that changed it and made the difference for these candidates. But it is a very disturbing trend. All of them anti-police, anti-Israel, anti-ICE. Let's go to Alice in Ohio, line 4. Go ahead, Alice.
Hi, Rita. We need to learn something about the demographics that is voting for these people and how to communicate with them. They're very young. They're immature. And they need to know they could not define a Nazi. They could not define fascism. They should know that Nazis were socialists. And we need to bring home the cold, hard truth to them. We've been handling them with kid gloves. It's time to put brass knuckles over those kid gloves.
So what needs to happen? What do you mean by brass knuckles? What do you mean? Are you going to bring Mike Tyson into the ring, Alice? What do you plan on?
Remember, I have said that we're gentlemen and ladies. We can still be gentlemen and ladies. But instead of there, you'll be all right, blah, 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 put the hard truth in front of them. We need to pick up the way they communicate. Communicate with these people with hard truth. Show them what these people are. President Trump is right. They are communists, and he needs to bring it true. Their socialism is making it soft.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. We need to call them for who they are. communists. And in fact, I don't know if you heard, Alice, but one of them, Valdez, who won tonight, says she represents the commie corridor. So she's even proud of that. We need to call them out and say how dangerous this is.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
Hey, I like your new RAV4.
Thanks, yours too.
What does RAV stand for anyway?
To me, it's the Remarkably Advanced Vehicle.
Really? To me, it's the Runway Approved Vehicle for its amazing style.
What about Remarkably Adaptable Vehicle because of its versatile cargo space?
Or Really Admired Vehicle?
Oh, or Really Awesome Vehicle.
It really is the recreational activity vehicle. The stylish 2026 Toyota RAV4 Limited. What's your RAV4?
Rita Cosby is on.
And the theme tonight here on the Rita Cosby Show is crazy is going to Congress. There are 3 very radical Democrats, all backed by New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, who won their primaries in just a few moments. Daria-Liza Avila-Chevalier, who beat longtime incumbent Adriano Espaillat, who was head of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. She defeated him. We have not heard from her yet, so we may hear her victory speech. I'm sure she'll bash Israel and bash police. And it is a very, very troubling trend. But it also shows the influence, sadly, of Zohran Mamdani in politics. A lot of people said this was a referendum on him as much as it was a referendum on the Democratic Socialists. And it is a sad sign of where this party is going and where at least a big part of American politics is going. I think Robert, though, from Philly, just said some very interesting things where he said that it's really going to crystallize sort of common sense versus crazy. It really is, because some of these people are just so radical, so extreme. The problem is the Democrats, the normal Democrats, are going to be folding like cheap suits because they're not going to want to lose the support of these crazies. They're not going to want to be primaried by these crazies who are sort of eating their own young. So that's the problem. So it's a sign that the party overall, I think, is going to go really far left. And hopefully voters wake up and see that it is sheer lunacy, some of these policies. Like lunacy from Claire Valdez. This is one of the ones who won. She won New York 7 in the, quote, commie corridor, as she even herself calls it. And here she is talking about abolishing ICE not that long ago. Here's a little bit of crazy.
So are we ready to free Palestine? Are we ready to abolish ICE? Are we ready to win Medicare for all, housing for all, and unions for all? I know that's right.
Wow. I don't think America's ready for this. And here is Brad Lander. He, of course, was also Zohran Mamdani backed. He won New York 10, and he beat incumbent Dan Goldman, who was just experiencing some very troubling anti-Semitism just recently at a Brooklyn coffee shop, who said they didn't want his money, essentially because he's Jewish. It was disgusting what they said. But now his challenger, Brad Lander, who's been protesting, one of these crazy people who's been protesting outside of these ICE facilities and outside ICE immigration courts, he said he's going to go there tomorrow. So we're going to see more of these scary, crazy protests that take place outside of ICE on college campuses. These people are the leaders of them. And here is Brad Lander not that long ago. Listen to how he describes the great men and women in law enforcement in ICE.
If I had said to you a year ago, what would happen right now if an individual wearing a mask, not in a law enforcement uniform or wearing a badge or identifying themselves, but just wearing a mask, rolled up here and grabbed one of you without presenting a judicial warrant, without identifying themselves, what should happen? I think almost any of you would have said a year ago, well, obviously, the NYPD should prevent that kidnapping from happening, should arrest the person executing that lawless abduction, should protect the individual in question, and should explore, yes, whether that's a kidnapping and the person should be arrested and held accountable. And I'll be honest, I don't even think it would have been that contentious. I really think everyone, especially if I said, what if it's almost always people of color? What if it's with, no particular warning or identification? Everyone would have said, that's why we have police officers, is to protect kidnappings by masked thugs who don't identify themselves and who would try to grab people and haul them away. That's what the rule of law looks like. That's one of the main reasons we have NYPD officers. And I just think everyone would have said, that's how we do it.
Well, listen to how we do it. Here is Tom Homan, border czar, who says he doesn't care what New York is trying to do or the likes of Brad Lander. He is going to be going full throttle in New York. I love tough talking border czar Tom Homan. He reminds me of Clint Eastwood. Here he is.
Mr. Homan, so the DHS is now saying that deportation flights are at a record high. Since the beginning of the administration, the new numbers is now 900,000 illegal aliens deported. Now with the replenished resources at the DHS, how do you expect the numbers to trend for the rest of this year going forward?
A lot higher. With 10,000 new agents on, but people need to understand, we got almost 700,000 illegal aliens with criminal records walking the streets of this country, mainly because the sanctuary cities released them. But we got a lot of work to do, so with additional resources, additional money from Big Beautiful Bill and the reconciliation package, you're going to see a lot more arrest activity go out throughout the country.
And in just a few moments, we're going to go to Zoran Mandani. He's speaking after his congressional endorsements have secured major victories, some of them some big upset victories. 3 very radical candidates. And it is a troubling trend, again, across this country. Let's go to Robert in Brooklyn, line 4, in a moment. But first, I understand that we have Zoran Mandani. Here he is, you guys.
I just want to take a moment to appreciate this incredible campaign.
Jonathan!
Everything that Darby and this campaign won, they have earned. Every endorsement, every milestone, every step of this journey, they have led the way. This campaign began many months ago at the same park that we launched the canvas in today. And at that time, I know that for many it may have felt like a fantasy that Daria Lisa would be here right now. But it was never a fantasy for her, and it was never a fantasy for all of you. You have willed that dream into a reality. And I was asked time and again, why would I support this campaign?
And you have been listening to New York City Mayor Zoran Mandani, who really has been a kingmaker tonight. Very troubling because 3 very radical individuals won their primaries in very safe Democratic seats, meaning that you will see some 3 radical members of Congress. And if you thought Jasmine Crockett and AOC were crazy, I think actually after tonight, we may see AOC run for Senate or run for president. She will feel emboldened because her friend Zoran Mandani has just become a kingmaker in New York City politics, but also these are 3 members of Congress. And you will see Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, AOC, and the likes all kind of bandy together and prop up a DSA candidate big time in the presidential race. Also, remember Chuck Schumer, I'm sure, will be challenged by AOC and others. That's why this is a troubling trend. You heard it here first. Let's go to Robert in Brooklyn, line 4. Go ahead, Robert. Boy, oh boy, what a night.
Hi, Rita. Thanks for taking my call. Well, you know, that coffee shop that discriminated, they wouldn't take the...
Yeah. Let me tell everybody, Poetica, it's in Brooklyn, and they gave back the money to Congressman Dan Goldman, who lost tonight against Brad Lander, and also said, we don't serve racists, homophobe, genocide enablers. I mean, what a disgusting group. And apparently, earlier today, we had John Levine, who's a great investigative journalist, and the owner of this store, it's an Uzbek, who doesn't like Jewish members. Most of them are Muslim, by the way, in Uzbekistan. And he apparently owes hundreds of thousands of dollars to the New York State in back taxes. So it sounds like a really lovely guy.
Well, you know, Jane Zirkle, she tweeted yesterday that there's going to be a demonstration against the anti-Semitism there. Tomorrow, yep. Wednesday, 9:00 is supposed to be a protest. I heard about that with the Lawfare project with Brooke Goldstein and some of those others. What do you make of this, Robert? Let's talk about that. The fact that this sort of disgusting trend of anti-Semitism is clearly growing, and I use the phrase a cancer because I think it is very dangerous. But you got these people feeling emboldened, like this, coffee shop person, and these candidates that won tonight. Certainly Chevalier and Valdez, both of them Democratic Socialists, clearly have made no bones about their hatred towards Israel. It's scary. Well, Rita, I switched my registration after Mamdani won the election. I switched my registration from Republican to Democrat. So this way today, I was able to vote in the Democrat primary. I voted for Jessica Scarcella Spanton. I don't necessarily like her too much, but she was running against Omar Mohammed, who's a Democrat socialist. This guy is so extreme that he got so angry that the Democrats were continuing to give Israel money that he switched for a short time to the Republican Party. So I voted. This is very important. People have to realize in New York City, the Democrats almost always win. It's even New York State, unless you're in a neighborhood that's very conservative. So you have to register in the Democrat Party, and you have to vote for someone who's not as extreme, who's going to be, just extreme communist, extreme anti-Semite, who's going to attack Israel, which is one of the last bastions fighting for Western civilization. Now, the other thing I wanted to point out is, in my opinion, both Donald Trump and Vance, both of them, need to be impeached and removed from office for high crimes and misdemeanors.
Wait. Who did you say? Donald Trump and who?
And Vance.
Why? Robert, why? Are you kidding me, Robert? Why?
Well, giving hundreds of billions of dollars to a terrorist regime, Iran, and also saying that they could have ballistic missiles. In my opinion, that's the worst type of behavior, the worst type of treason that you could do. Giving hundreds of billions of dollars to Iran and saying that they could have ballistic missiles because other countries have ballistic missiles. And I'm also really disappointed in Bibi Netanyahu. If Iran is getting $300 billion, then Israel should be getting at least $300 billion. Maybe they should be getting $3 trillion. I mean, I never saw a situation where the evil losers, so-called evil losers, Iran is getting hundreds of billions of dollars.
And Robert, let me. I hear what you're saying, but I think obviously to sit there and say that Trump should be impeached and J.D. Vance, Trump has done more for Israel than any American president has done. I mean, especially in modern times, there is no doubt about it. I don't like what you just said, and I understand it. I'm agreeing with you, not about the impeachment. I don't like the idea that Iran could have any missiles. I agree with you on that. I don't like that they are going to have access to $300 billion worth. I don't agree with that either. So looking at all of those things, to me, that is indeed very, very troubling. So I agree with you that this is part of a very disturbing trend. On the other hand, he still has those military assets in theater, and he's made it very, very clear that he will indeed use them if they violate anything. It's not a perfect deal, there's no doubt, and the fine points are still being worked out. But to call for impeachment, that's crazy, Robert. Let's go, by the way, sadly, let's go to Daria-Liza Avila Chevalier, who is speaking. This is Mondani-backed DSA candidate.
Systems that were rooted in our communities, in joy and in life, instead of despair and destruction, was naive. That a politics of life and of hope was out of reach for us here. As if the cutoff for ambition for a better life ended at 96th Street. But today we make it clear. The politics of the past ends today. What we have built over the last 8 months and what we have delivered here today is a clear mandate that the era of taking a check and cashing a check and calling it representation is over. No longer will Uptown and the Bronx be neglected, forgotten, or overlooked. No longer will we accept a politics that throws scraps at us and acts as if we should be grateful for them. No longer will we accept anything less than respect and a seat at the table that our labor built.
And you have been listening to Daria-Liza Avila Chevalier, who won the primary tonight, New York 13, introduced by Zohran Mamdani, her big backer. By the way, you're going to love this. Zohran Mamdani also was mourning an Al Jazeera journalist today, talking about how sad it was. You ready for this? The guy's name is Ahmed Wisha, and you go to the pictures of him, he's firing like semi-automatics with Hamas. So I guess he says a sweet journalist who was killed in an Israel airstrike. Turns out the sweet journalist looks like he's hanging out with Hamas in Gaza and was a cameraman, quote, for Al Jazeera. I put cameraman in quotes because if you look at it, he sure looks pretty ominous and doesn't look like a journalist. And yet these are the people who he says, oh, it's so sad that this nice, sweet journalist was injured. And it looks like not the kind of journalist I've ever seen. The guy with the submachine gun walking around with a keffiyeh on. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. And we're going to take your calls when we come back. But first, everybody, support our heroes.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Support Our Heroes.
And this is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Support Our Heroes segment with a very powerful story from Noblesville, Indiana, where World War II veteran Jules Gowdy was recognized on the occasion of his 101st birthday. Veteran Gowdy served in the U.S. Army during World War II, seeing duty in both the European and Western Pacific theaters as a soldier and also as a musician, serving on the front line as a morale booster, creating music that provided comfort to his brothers in arms. How beautiful. As a trumpeter, he not only supported the troops and gave them a great morale boost through his beautiful music, but he also served at headquarters as the division moved across France and into Germany. And how beautiful to see him recognized on his 101st birthday. And everybody, America's heroes need your help more than ever. Donate just $11 a month to make an incredible difference with the best organization out there, led by the great Frank Siller, honoring his brother Stephen Siller and so many great American heroes. Be sure to check out the Tunnel to Towers Foundation at T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Sustain Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Sustain Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And it is a socialist sweep tonight. And Zoran Mandani establishing himself as somewhat of a kingmaker, at least in New York City politics, and getting the candidates, many of them defeating some solid incumbents, some well-liked incumbents, some of them that were considered radical, but I guess not radical enough for Zoran Mandani and the crazy Democratic Socialists of America, who get 3 wins tonight. And that is very concerning because they're in very solid Democratic districts. And boy, oh boy, this is a very, very troubling trend in the United States now, not just New York. We're going to see a lot of them popping up all over the place, like little poppies all over, red poppies, red communist poppies. Let's go to Joaquin real quick in Pennsylvania, line 2. Go ahead, Joaquin.
Good evening, Rita. This is really disgusting, but the truth of the matter is that we have lost our young people. We've lost them to an education system that's been corrupted by these leftists, who did nothing but drag America down now. That's what they're being taught.
Yeah, you know what? You're bringing up a good point. You're right. A lot of young people. You know what was troubling, though? In some of the exit polls, when people were questioned what was the issue, you saw some middle-aged and older people who were saying, I like so-and-so because they're anti-ICE or they're anti-Israel. So sadly, it seems to be young and old, and it's a cancer that's spreading. Wow.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?